every 2 years, there's a Ryder Cup golf tournament that takes place between the United States and Europe. There's a non-playing captain who is responsible for selecting the team. The 10 top players in the PGA tournament usually select themselves. It's a given. So too, the top 10 players in the DP World Tournament in Europe, they usually select themselves. But the non-playing captain have the privilege of selecting 2 players for his team. It doesn't base on statistics. It is based on who he think should be in the team. Going by the numbers, Shimron Hetmyer should not be in the West Indies team. But the captain and the coach have the option with going with a gut feeling. Ever since the team was announced on Friday morning, the controversy over Shimron Hetmyer's selection have been escalated to another level. There was some talk about Obed McCoy not being selected ahead of Shamar Joseph, but that has paled in comparison to the brewing controversy over the Shimron Hetmyer selection. I no doubt would have selected Shimron Hetmyer in my squad, and later in the show, I will tell you why I selected him in my squad. But joining me, I have invited 2 of our very best analysts to look at the Shimron Hetmyer selection. Good morning to you, Dwight, and good morning to you, Bobby. To you, Basil. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Sir Carlton. Good morning, Chato, and good morning to your viewers.
Good morning, Basil. Good morning, Carlton, and good morning to the listeners to the program. Really nice to be here.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and good morning also to the viewers. Greetings, wherever you may be, greetings. And I'm also happy that you are here. For if you are not here, we would not have a show. So I'm glad and I'm very happy that you are here. Before we get to Hetmyer, though, I just want to congratulate the West Indies women for winning their series in Pakistan, their 2 series in Pakistan, 7-1. Basil, could you give me your reaction on the West Indies performances in that series?
Well, I have to commend them. They won all the key parts of the game. They capitalized on pretty much every mistake Pakistan made. Pakistan made a lot of crucial mistakes, and the West Indies capitalized on all of them. So well done to them. They've come away from the tour just losing 1 of 8 matches. And but still, for me, I would just want to say it's still a Haley Matthews show. And it reminds me a bit of the Chicago Bulls early years with Michael Jordan. They used to refer to the team as Jordan and the Jordaneers. There was some Campbell showed some signs, but I want to see more from Campbell. Campbell has to do a lot more for me to be convinced that she deserves to be on this level.
Dwight, West Indies won the 3-match ODI 3-0. They won the T20 series 4-1. But I believe that we could have won that T20 series 5-0. Why would Haley Matthews win the toss and decided to bat in the 4th T20? One, it was a brand new strip that was never ever been used, never at no time. And secondly, in the 3rd match, you got 5 Pakistani wickets for 6 runs. Taking those 2 factors into consideration, why would Haley Matthews winning the toss and bat first in that sport match?
Carlton, you're a hard man to please. Agree that there are some question marks about that particular decision, but I don't want to focus everything on that particular thing. They won the series 4-1. And for me, it was quite remarkable. It was quite remarkable because even though they had done very well on the tour a couple of years ago, I think when we had analyzed this tour coming into this tour, we thought it would have been very difficult for them to have won the ODI series, which they did so comfortably. We thought that it would have been a tough tour, and they really turned it into a walkthrough. So yes, there are concerns regarding that particular decision. You don't get all your decisions right during any long series. And I thought that the team did absolutely well. Commendations to them. I'm seeing the team making strides in certain areas. To see them hold their nerve the way they did in a few of those tense matches was quite remarkable and quite impressive. Yes, it's still the Haley Matthews show, but now we're seeing the shapings. We're seeing the signs of other players coming into the picture. I mean, Basler, know that you'll hit Campbell hard, but you must admit that she showed up for a couple of innings in this series, and she had one of her better series. Ramarak, I thought, is coming in very fine, coming along very well to assist Fletcher and Matthews with the bowling. So I thought that it was a really nice story.
I'd stand with you, Dwight. I don't know how much of the A-team series against Nepal you would have seen. But what West Indies A winning that series against Nepal 3-2? Give me your comments on that series.
Oh man, Carlton, you lift me up with one question and you bring me down with another question, and I don't understand what sort of thing you're doing on the program. I don't understand that sort of thing. I'm personally very disappointed with the Nepal series. I am personally very disappointed. That series had not only players who are on the outer fringe of T20 A-team cricket, and we're looking at in the future people like Alec Athens, but within that team, there were a number of players who are going to represent us at the upcoming T20 World Cup. And within that team, there are players who went into that game knowing that they were vying for a place in the World Cup, in the squad to the World Cup. So to see them turn around and perform the way that they did was very, very disappointing. They struggled for a number of these games. Even matches that they won, they looked Nepal looked as if they were in the game. And I was very disappointed with the series, to say the least. Carlton?
Yes, Basil, coming back to you now. I seem to just last shot you for a while there, but I'm back with you, Basil. Basil, Obed McCoy was highly touted to be a part of the West Indies T20 squad. Many persons still believe that he should be a part of the squad. But we saw Saturday morning in that final match with Nepal needing 22 to win from 2 overs. Obed McCoy bowled the 19th over, and that over went for 24. What are your views on that performance from Obed McCoy?
It's interesting with McCoy because in the 17th over he bowled a pretty good over, and then the game comes down to he's bowling the 19th over, 22 runs to win. So you're looking for McCoy to probably give you a similar over to the 17th, so that you're defending double figures in the last over. And the guy proceeded to hit the 22 runs off in 5 balls, 6 and 4 consecutive fours. So that was not a good, to say it mildly, not a good performance on a guy who was trying to get into the senior team and playing against an associate nation, albeit we cannot overlook these associate nations as we did before. All of them have improved immensely. I I must say this game against Nepal was the first one I looked at from ball one to the end of the game, because the other, the games are playing early in the morning. So I was sleeping. I would just catch like the ending of the games. But this was the first one I watched from start to end. And West Indies batters, that it was disappointing for on that part. Even though they made 172, they should have made a lot more. They kept losing wickets at critical times, and which allowed to keep Nepal in the game. And on the other hand, too, I mean, Chato talked about the different guys who were going to be in the World Cup team, and some who had played before and some on the fringes. But we have to remember, it was associate nation teams that caused our demise in the last qualifiers for the World Cup, and that was with a full team, to show you how these associate teams have improved vastly, and you can't take them for granted.
Thank you, Basil. What was most disappointing for me about that over from Obed McCoy? I was disappointed, of course, that the over went for 22. But what was disturbing is that Roston Chase clearly gave him a feel for him to bowl short, and yet still he proceeded to pitch up the delivery. The one delivery that he bowled short hit the guy on his shoulder and flew over the keeper's head down to the boundary for 4-leg bye. But then again, he pitched up the very next delivery. And that was what was disturbing. You're always going to be disappointed when your main fast bowler give away 22 runs out of 1 over. But it is far more disturbing when he just never bowl to the field. The schedule for the T20 Women World Cup have been released. West Indies is drawn in the same group, I think, with Bangladesh, South Africa, England, and a qualifier. That qualifier, the final of the qualifier is being played today. So West Indies is in the same group with England, South Africa, Bangladesh, and one of the qualifiers. So those are just some things that we needed to look after before we get to the meat of the matter. Gentlemen, Basil, why? I started with you earlier, so let me start with Dwight this time, Basil. Why is there so much controversy, Dwight, about the selection of Shimron Hetmyer in this squad?
Let me start by laughing. I think because we didn't see the logic behind the selection. I think that's the easiest way to see it. We saw issues with Hetmyer in the past, issues that affected team chemistry, issues that would have you questioning his commitment, issues that would have you concerned about his fitness. And for a while, Hetmyer was out there. Then Hetmyer was brought back into the team, and we expected to see a new Hetmyer, a motivated Hetmyer. But instead, what happened was that he disappointed us in terms of how he performed, and he was subsequently dropped from the team. He did not make the squad to Australia. All right? So coming from that place to now seeing him walk back into the team was a bit of a surprise, and it's a bit of a surprise where we thought there are other players who we thought were pushing for places. Maz, I had said, I think should have been here because I think to just have 2 openers going into the tournament was a bit limited. Or even to look at Spiceman Fletcher would have even had made better sense to me than going to Hetmyer. Twinned with this, there's an issue as to what is the role Shimron Hetmyer is going to play in the squad. There are people out there who are thinking that Hetmyer can play the anchor role in the middle of the team, and he's not that. All right. The coach himself said that we're looking at him playing as a finisher. But for me, in Shepherd, Russell, Rutherford, and Powell, I think those players suit that position more so than Hetmyer. And for me, Hetmyer is on the fringe of those guys. So I really, really didn't see Hetmyer's selection.
And thank you very much, Dwight. Basil, as someone from Guyana, and I hope you can go back to Guyana after this, you were adamant that Hetmyer should not be in this team. As you would have known, there's a lot of controversy. Basil, why shouldn't he have been in the team?
I following up Chato there, I cannot agree with Chato more. Every single thing that Chato said, I agree with 1000%. I find the rationale wanting, um, because here the contradictions in what Desi said at the press conference. Desi said we pick players for the roles and the roles and the roles, right? No, by picking just 2 opening batsmen, are you saying to us, come hell or high water, Brandon King, if past fit, and Johnson Charles are going to play the entire World Cup regardless of their form, their performance in the World Cup? Because if not, that would mean you will be taking a player you selected for another role as a batter and to bring player X into a role that you did not select them for. So you're contradicting yourself in that. I would have wanted the person who had asked the question, I remember it was Akeem Green, I would have wanted him to follow up as to and ask the question that I'm posing right now to get a better understanding as to why Hetmyer comes into the team. And I agree with Chato. We already got a lot of lumber at the bottom there. What is the need for Hetmyer? The Hetmyer they want is to play as a batsman despite what they're telling us about. Oh, we're going to see him as a finisher. Because even when you look at his figures this year in the IPL, there is nothing to shout to him about. The guy is averaging less than 7 balls an inning in the IPL, which is you just come in and fire your bat. Whereas in a World Cup is a different level of play and intensity, right? We already got the lumber. Hetmyer will have to come into a team to bat as he was in the team prior, where he failed to produce at that goal. Why are you going back to him? Based on what rationale? It just seems to me this is just based on pure sentiments and hoping for the best. Nobody don't play elite sports and hope for the best.
Basil, if I can,
I comment to you, Dwight. On the point, because I want to make a point and then I come back to you, Dwight. I would have said it on many occasions that I was at the airport when we were expected Hetmyer to come. I was at the airport in Guyana. And I was also disappointed because the general vibes in the airport was that Hetmyer was going to be flying on the same plane with us. So it was a good vibes. So we were disappointed. And I want to give Desmond Haynes credit for his maturity, for looking past that incident. Because it takes real maturity to look past such an incident to select Hetmyer for the T20 World Cup. Earlier, I said to you that Hetmyer's selection is not based on the numbers. Just like how when the golf captain, the Ryder Cup captains are selecting that 11th and 12th players, it is not based on the numbers. Because if it was based on the numbers, there's no doubt that Hetmyer should not be in this squad. Since 2023, West Indies have played 16 T20 internationals. They have won 9 and have lost 7. They have lost 7, they have won 9. Winning 3 series in the process and losing only 1 to Australia, 1-2. They have beat India at home, they have beaten South Africa away, and they have beaten England at home. That in itself is by no mean feat a great performance. The players who have played in those T20 internationals, looking at the batsman number, we see where Powell, who have played in 15, is the leading run scorer with 422 runs. Pooran, 421. He played in all 16 matches. Brandon King, 406. Johnson Charles, 260, playing in only 10, batting 10 times. Kyle Myers played in 13 and made 207 runs. In 6th position is Andre Russell, 214. Shai Hope is 7th. Rutherford is 8th. And Shepherd is 9th. Jason Holder is 10th. Although Shimron Hetmyer, as you will see here, Shimron Hetmyer plays 6 of those matches. He still only have scored 105 runs. Now, there's something that I want you to look at, and it's what you call the KPI. KPI means key performance indicator. And for a batsman in T20 cricket, the KPI is his average plus his strike rate, because strike rate is very important in T20 cricket. When we look at those strike rate, those KPI, we see that Andre Russell has a KPI of 232 to be first on that table. When we look at second is Rovman Powell, not Rovman Powell. Yes, Rovman Powell is at second. Johnson Charles is at third. Hetmyer is still not in the top 10. When we look at Hetmyer key performance indicators, in those 6 matches that he played for West Indies before he was dropped, it's only 134, and it is greater than 10, because up to Roston Chase KPI is greater than Hetmyer. Gentlemen, I give you these numbers. You see in the IPL, I give you his IPL 2023 statistics there. You can look at it. His IPL 2024 statistics so far, you can look at it. His CPL performance last year, you can look at it. Now, if you go to this IPL this year, you realize that Hetmyer's strike rate of 184.44 is 19th among all the batsmen. Shepherd is 3rd. Rovman Powell is 12th. Russell is 14th. Only Hope and Pooran as West Indies batsmen are below Shimron Hetmyer. Now, you might be asking me now, aren't I making the case for Hetmyer not to be in the team? I am telling you that if you go by the numbers, you cannot select Hetmyer. But the captain and the coach have a right. They have a right to go with their gut feelings, because they believe that Hetmyer can win matches for them, and you cannot take away that from the coaches and the captain. Just like how in the Ryder Cup, you cannot take from the non-playing captain to select those 2 players, barring whatsoever statistics. I know that Hetmyer was going to be selected when you hear Desmond Haynes and the coach Darren Sammy speaking about specific role. Gentlemen, over to you. Dwight, I hope you're ready with your point.
I have a different take, Basil. I have a slightly different take. I think Mr. Haynes and the coach sat in the room and they said to themselves, what if we pick this team and we should leave out the likes of Hetmyer and Shamar Joseph, and this team should underperform? What will happen? And somebody said, man, the Caribbean will jump at you guys. Yeah, man. They'll say that you heard from the very start that there's no way that you could leave out a talent like Hetmyer. There's no way that you could leave out an amazing talent like Joseph out of the squad. You have to select these guys in the team or you're going to lose your job. See? And I think that these selections are selections meant to cover their jobs. I think it's that simple, because I do not see the logic in the selection. You mentioned something about the IPL, and people will look and they'll say, oh, look at that. Hetmyer is averaging 27 in the IPL right now. Oh, that's not too bad. And thing. What I don't understand is that when you look at it's what 7 innings. There it is. 7 innings, 83 runs, and he's averaging 27, almost 28. And people will say that's not too bad. That really works out to a runs per innings of around 12 runs. He's on average contributing around 12 runs every time he goes out there to bat. And all you're seeing is that average is being inflated by some not out innings. All right. So he's not really impacting games. All right. So I cannot see through this. I understand 100% the idea of looking to match winners. But I still think the idea and the concept of looking for a match winner must be founded in stuff that that player has done and not simply a hope on what you think that player might do at some point in time in the future.
Basil, very passionate there from Dwight. Let's hear from you.
Where I part ways with Dwight is regarding the selected Hetmyer to save their jobs, and I want to point this out to you too, Carlton. I had no thoughts of Hetmyer's shenanigans off the field, whether to be selected or not. As I know, many people I know are very disappointed in them selecting him because of his shenanigans the last time we went to a World Cup with him not making the flight. That was nowhere my thought process. I deal with Hetmyer purely and simple on performance. So I don't agree with that what Chato is saying, but I agree with the second part because in my view, the selectors are reaching. If you look at Hetmyer's performances, I went back because I came today prepared. I went and looked at his IPL performances, right? And going through them, in the games that they won, 3 of those games he did not bat, right? In 4 of those games, it was in the first inning. 1 game he made 5 runs, 1 game he made 14, 1 game he made 11. And the only game Hetmyer impacted in winning was that game when he made it 27 and brought the game home. So this notion about Hetmyer being this match winner is an illusion. Now let's go back to last year with Hetmyer again too. Hetmyer, when he came into the team under the other coach, when he came back into the team, right? That was the role he was ascribed to do, the finisher. And I going through here, he got strike rates of 112, 183, and one game, the one game when he made the 6-1 at Florida is a game I call padding the stats, because West Indies already lose the game. He was just batting out the inning. We lost that game. We lost 2 of the 4 games that he came in as this finisher. We won 2 of them when he made 10, and 1 game he made 22, right? 1 game a strike rate of 100, and next game a strike rate of less than 100, right? So and then when they put him in the middle order role under Sammy, which Sammy said he didn't get the job done. You remember that press conference? He made 1 and 2 with less than, one of them, the strike rate was 25. The other one was 40. 1 run in 4 balls, 2 runs in 5 balls. So that is why I say, you say gut feeling and so on. I say it's sentiments. Sentiments, right? Because there is nowhere in recent memory they can pin their hat on the wall to say Hetmyer has shown he is a match winner. He has never been that for the West Indies at all. So I do not understand where they come from with this.
Basil, I agree with all of those numbers. I showed those numbers. And again, I just want to say it is not the numbers why they selected Hetmyer. Is that if you are picking a team, the coach and the selector and the captain, they should have, just like how they pluck Marlon Samuels. Well, Marlon Samuels never played any match, so you don't have a record, so maybe that's not a good one. But I just think that they must have the option to have one left field selection, one gut selection. Basil, come on, Basil, man.
No,
They
no.
must have that option.
Chato.
No, go ahead, Basil. Go ahead.
Carlton, you are admitting to us because that is what myself and Chato is saying. We are saying we are both saying this selection was based on sentiments. We're not denying that. And in my view, there is no sentiment because they are here. I am being frank. They are overrating Mr. Hetmyer. Right? I don't understand this love of Hetmyer talent. Hetmyer has been an average player playing T20 cricket for West Indies. This is not me saying this. This is the records. Right? The only format Mr. Hetmyer has ever shown world-class potential is in the ODI format. Nowhere else. Hetmyer has been an overhyped cricketer just because he was the captain of the team winning the World Cup. I just hear the asinine people talking about Hetmyer better than Pooran. He never was ever better than Pooran. This only because Pooran got into that car accident and almost ended his career. That absence from the game that Hetmyer came in to fill the breach. But go and look into the two of them from youth cricket coming through. Hetmyer? Pooran was the man. So I have always, it is always baffling.
Thank you, Basil. Do I go ahead, please?
Carlton, you're one slick fella. You are so slick. Carlton comes into the conversation and to totally defang us. He comes in and he admits 100% that the pick, when you look at the numbers, don't really add up. He's quick out of the block. He's ahead of me and Basil. And he's agreeing with us from the get-go so as to defang anything that we have to say. And then he says, just like with the Ryder Cup, I believe Desiree should get a wild card pick. He got a wild card pick and took it with Shamar Joseph. In my opinion, he took his wild card pick with Shamar Joseph because I can lay just as strong an argument that I don't see the cricket logic in Shamar Joseph being in the team. But Desi's getting greedy now. He's getting greedy and literally reaching when you come on for Hetmyer. And Basil says he doesn't agree that it's a cover your job move kind of thing. Basil, when you look at everything and it doesn't add up in any other way, the only answer that you can find is that it's a political move to cover your job so that when the cries come out, you can say, hey, this was the best team. This is what Desi has to show. Desi has to show that he gave us the best chance with the best team going to the World Cup. And he thinks that there's a section of the Caribbean that's in love with Hetmyer. They're infatuated with Hetmyer. And he's giving them that. Now, the next thing is a very brilliant point that Basil made earlier. What about the openers? Are you saying that you're picking players for roles and you only have 2 openers going for this tournament? If you're looking to go deep, as you have said that you are doing, you're looking to win maybe around 7 games. And you're saying, come hell or high water, you're sticking with King, who you know is coming off of an injury, and you're sticking with Charles as your 2 openers. And no matter what they show, no matter what their form is, you don't have another person who can play that role. I hear people telling me about using Shai Hope as an opener. Shai Hope? T20 Cricket? What is wrong with you guys, man? I don't understand what's happening. And this is the dilemma. This is the contradiction that I'm seeing, and it just doesn't add up to me. So, yes, Basil, I know you might not agree, but when I see the level of illogic that I'm looking at right here. My only answer can be the man must be making some type of a political pick to save his job later on, or to say I did my best, because I don't think that this is a match winner that he's picking.
Right, thank you very much, Dwight. As we come to the comments, there's a lot of comments. Definitely we are going to miss some of them. But some of the reasons that have been given for Hetmyer's selection in the general public, I think is very unfortunate. And I love the way that the three of us have kept it mature. So, and we are going to continue to do that. We are asking the persons in the chat, just let us keep it mature, because some of the reasons we do not want the bar talk argument on this show. So I really appreciate
the rum shop.
Mr. He's saying that the rum shop. Hetmyer did not earn his place, therefore does not deserve to be there. Most unfair to players like Andre Fletcher and Fabian Allen. I will ask Basil to talk about Andre Fletcher. I just think Fabian Allen is a non-entity, so I'll just ask you to give a few words on Andre Fletcher.
No, I think the ship has sailed when it comes to Andre Fletcher. I don't even have him on my radar, so I don't see him in consideration to making our World Cup team. But because the cupboard is so bare, he may come into contention. That's a factor with our T20. Because I want to just say something quickly. They leave out Myers, and then when you look around, they say they're looking for a lower order batsman, middle order. When you look around, there isn't any. So here comes Mr. Hetmyer.
Yes, thank you, Basil. Good morning,
Mr. Robinson talking about the Pakistan.
I comment
you see,
Basil. Good morning, Romain Robinson, Meredith. Good morning, Brian H. Good morning, Romain Robinson. Go ahead, Basil.
No, I never said Pakistan was a better team. Mr. Robinson needs to clear the wax out of his ears. I said I expect it's going to be a very competitive series. Pakistan is not going to be an easy team to roll over. And I made that statement based on the fact Pakistan had just went to New Zealand and beat New Zealand, which is a top tier team in New Zealand. And then to come home and roll over like this. But then again, if you look at the records, this game that Pakistan won against the West Indies was the first time they had beaten the West Indies in a T20 since 2021. So it's not like Pakistan had been beating West Indies. So, Mr. Robinson, I follow the women's games closely. So I would never have said Pakistan was going to beat us. I said I expected a more competitive series.
Morning, Juna Davis, Dwight Chateau. The question, this is Gerard Me joining us from UK. It's getting a little warmer now, Gerard. The question we must be focusing on is why talented stars like Hetmyer continue to fail to fulfill their potential or to be consistent. Dwight, please take that one from me.
I think it's founded in two things. One has to do with the motivation of these players. And you have a fella like Hetmyer who's really, really not motivated to play international cricket. He is motivated, however, to play franchise cricket. And you'll see that he has better franchise numbers than he does on the international stage. You see Hetmyer, I think it was last year in the IPL when he played those 13 games and amassed about 300 runs over 13 games. And he was just an absolute beast. And we don't see Hetmyer coming and doing that in international cricket or playing like that in international cricket. So I think one of it is motivation. All right. I don't think these guys see the esteem or the thing that or the thing that playing international cricket will do for their lives. All right, I don't think they value the respect and the esteem that you get as being a West Indian hero, the way that Worrell and the three W's and Sobers and Richards did. All right, so I think one is motivation. I think the second thing is that we need to look back at our systems. I don't think that we have the system right now that is required to develop a cricketer for the modern game as it is right now. And we need to do some work. A lot has changed in cricket. The number of games has changed. The input of technology has changed. The coaching input has changed. And I think we need to make significant investment in our processes that we have, our tournaments, our training, our preparation of players, our mentorship, our grassroots cricket, the number of players that we even have playing cricket, to start to see players coming out. One of the things I have spoken about on a different forum is the issue of what happens to cricket once they get to the under-19 level. Once you get to an under-19 level and you're unable to make your regional squad, you basically play no cricket unless you're going to play what we call grade cricket or senior cup cricket. You don't really play competitive cricket. And I'm happy to see the West Indies Cricket Board looking in the future to implement an under-23 program so that cricketers after the age of 19 can have regular cricket play. So I think it's a combination of the motivation of the player and the systems that we have in place where we're losing so much of our talent.
Thank you very much, Dwight. Your name is Christopher Bristol is saying that you are always going to have a problem with the squad. So he's shaking his head.
Bristol against
Phil
both
is saying,
I want to hear more from Bristol. Tell Bristol to send another. Tell him to send another text to tell us what am I and Basil. What are we saying that is so wrong? Because I think that we're founded in the facts. So tell us what it is that we're saying that's just made up stuff. Don't just say we have a problem with your chat. Come, let us see some stuff.
Exactly. Let's have a mature conversation.
Exactly. Go ahead, Carlton.
Philip Fraser is making a statement. He said, as we speak, Hetmyer is in form player as a finisher at the IPL. I do not know if there's another IPL tournament going on, one that we are not watching. But at the bottom there, Philip, is Hetmyer statistics in the IPL this year so far. If you have another tournament that you are watching, please inform us, because the conclusion that you form are not compatible with these numbers. So please, I do not understand.
Well done, Carlton.
Well done. Carlton, I'm telling you, these guys are simply looking at the averages. They're just looking at the average. They're like, oh wow, he's having a great time. They're not looking at, they're not watching the games, and they're not watching what the impact the players having on each game.
Yeah, because I wanted to make that point to Carlton earlier when you said the KPI, the combination of the average and the strike rate. But in T20 cricket, we got to be a little even more specific, because you can't use average when a guy is batting probably from number 5 down, because they face very little amount of balls. Average for me is more indicative of, gives some more indication of a player's performance batting from 4 and up. But anything after 4, strike rate is the king.
Thank you, Basil. Now, Michael Douglas, who I think is the son of Andre Douglas, and he was the one who put together those first 2 slides that you see on the statistics, the one that is given listing the top 10 West Indies players. Thank you, Michael Douglas. Rajasthan Royal top 4 does the job 90% of the time, and Sangha is not giving Rovman or Etty a chance to even bat in the top 5. you mentioned earlier, Basil, that Hetmyer played a number of matches where he doesn't bat. And his highest score thus far is 25.
27.
Even the other day, the Rajasthan Royal lost a match by 1 run. And Hetmyer is faced like 13 balls for 12 runs or something like that.
9
and
balls,
could
13
be,
runs, 9 balls.
If he was a finisher, he should have finished that match. Right,
Correct.
Basil?
Correct. If he was a finisher, he should have finished that match. And the thing about it, I have told the Hetmyer fans that Rajasthan Royals is not doing their boy a favor by not, because the role the West Indies had selected him for is for him to come in and in the middle overs deal with the spin and accelerate down. That is what came out of Mr. Sammy's mouth. That's the reason why they brought up Pooran to 3, Hope to 4, Hetmyer 5. Those are the 3 guys who are better players of spin in the West Indies setup. And we were having a problem as a team in terms of a run rate against spin when Sammy looked at all the stats. He said we have improved by 1 run from 6 runs and over to 7. Although, you know, that's not where you want to be, but you're improving. So I said to them, in my view, the only way I would want Hetmyer to get back in the team, I wanted to see Hetmyer fulfill that role at Rajasthan, not come in and slugging at 6 or 7 balls. We got the lumber at the bottom already.
Gerard Mead, who is a legend of this community, one who have always played this part and have always been supporting this community. He's saying that class is permanent and form is temporary. Hetty will come good and shut up the doubters.
Oh, Lord.
All right. I really, really hope that Hetmyer comes good in the World Cup. For if Hetmyer comes good in the World Cup, we will have a good chance of winning. So I really hope he does.
Of course.
On the other hand, however, it's a long time I'm hearing about Hetmyer is going to come good. But he has played 57 matches for the West Indies in T20. 57. Not 5, not 7, not 12. 57. And he's still averaging 20.5.
And his strike
T20 matches. So while I genuinely hope that he comes good, we have been hearing this a long, long time. Do you think that Hetty could open batting if there's an issue with King and Charles?
You came with jokes this morning, eh? Open the batting, Hetmyer. I mean, anything is possible. And like I heard from the texter right there, there's a lot of hope around the Caribbean about a lot of confidence around the Caribbean about the form that Hetty has or the abilities that Hetty has. But no, I don't believe that he'd do a great job opening the bowling. That's a simple question. That's a simple answer that I have to that. I don't think that I don't even think he has ever opened the batting in T20 cricket. But no, I don't think that he'd do a great job opening the batting.
Thank you. Carlton Heyman is saying bless up to everyone, but Basil, and you are the ideal person to answer this question as a Guyanese. Hetty is only in the side through country bias.
I can't agree with that. Why I can't agree with that? The 2 selectors, one is a Bajan and one is from St. Lucia. So I don't see how the country bias come into play there at all. You know, no, I doubt that. Because think about it. The player that he got selected ahead of is a Bajan. And one of the selectors has 2 votes. He has 2 votes on this new system. It's 2 selectors. And as a lead selector, he got a casting vote. If both of them come 1-1, he could then make the decision solo. So as a Bajan player, Hetmyer got in the team. So we can't use country bias.
All right. So SOS is saying that it's talking about Shamar Joseph and what he did in the 2 tests. Now, SOS while I am happy that Shamar Joseph is in the T20 World Cup squad, there's no parallel. The parallel that you are trying to identify, none really exists. Have you heard of a bowler named Nathan Lyons from Australia? Have you heard of a bowler named Ashwin from India? Those are probably the two best spin bowler in the world going right around now in Test cricket. And they are not in their country's T20. Not as simple as that. Because you have performed in Test cricket, it means then that you are an automatic pick in the T20 team. There is no parallel there. Dwight, who is the alternative to Hetmyer in the team?
Well, from where I stand, I don't think the focus should be on an extra lower order batsman. I think the focus should be on an extra opener. And I've already said it. I think the choice should be down between Myers and Fletcher. Even though Basil said he thinks that Fletcher is past, I think those are the two options to look at. I personally would have gone with Myers. So that's my answer there. I thought later in the whole thing, Basil, Carlton, I really hope that we come back to this whole issue of Shamar Joseph, which you have been sweetly dancing around simply because you got the squad that you wanted. All right, but we're gonna take on this Shamar Joseph thing a bit later. I'm just telling you from now.
and Carlton, I will say this. Some of
all right, and the same cheeseman I've asked.
What I was saying in terms of that,
all right.
I want to just add this quickly. I told people, just like what you said, Carlton, I told people and they bristled when I said the selectors have rolled the dice on Hetmyer. They don't want to hear that. The Hetmyer fans, they don't want. I said there is no cricket reason. They rolled the dice.
Basil, Brian H is bantering me here. Okay, Brian H, I accept that. Okay, Brian H, you win. But you were talking about the...
No.
You just brought up the...
No, but Carlton, you are in perfect order. We could go through historically through not just West Indies cricket, where players have been picked on they had ability, their performances didn't line up, but a gut feeling, they selected the player and the player turned out. Look, your home man, Michael Holden, when Holden was selected in 75, 76, I saw Holden from the time he started. I as a little boy, beautiful runner, good pace, but he didn't have the results. But they saw something in this guy.
No, but that's a different parallel, Basil, because Holden never have any record. So too Marlon Samuel, so too Fidel Edwards.
Yeah,
they never had any record.
Yes, I know what you're saying.
Shamar,
I'm talking in context of a gut feeling. In terms of picking a guy.
Okay, thank you.
You look at this guy and you said this guy got this something. You believe this guy got this something and you pick him. Look, when Lara picked Fidel Edwards out of the practice session, Fidel
yes, but let's stay on the World Cup, Basil, because Dwight, there's your question. There's Cheeseman saying that.
No, this is a question for you and Basil to answer because I'm with Cheeseman on this. All right, I'm with Cheeseman on this. I believe the gamble selection that you have been asking Desi to take, he took it on Shamar Joseph. All right, I think that's the gamble because when you look at Shamar Joseph has nothing to show that he'll do well so far playing T20 cricket, and it's just a Hail Mary, as some of us would say, to use a popular American football parlance. It's just a Hail Mary that Desi Hill is showing here. No. Shamar Joseph has played CPL. He has not distinguished himself. He has not taken a wicket. Shamar Joseph has played one IPL match. He has not distinguished himself. He has not taken a wicket. What is the cricketing logic to selecting him on the team? Or a test match that we played in Australia. Well, if we're doing that, why we don't bring on some other guys and stick them in this team? Hey, let's bring in Hodge because he played well in that final test match against Australia. Hey, what about Sinclair? He didn't do too badly in that test match. Let's bring him in as well. I mean, I just don't understand that thing. And what I want from you, Carlton, and from you, Basil, is for you to explain this gamble to the listeners.
I will willingly do so. I will willingly do so. Number one.
Go ahead, Basil.
Shamar Joseph possesses wicket-taking skills. And just that little glimpse that we saw in that one IPL match that he played, you saw it on display. Number one, he created 3 opportunities. They should have taken the guy catch. Number 2, you saw him bowl some balls at batsmen that they could not handle. Some of them were lucky. I remember one ball in particular caught back at the batsman. Lucky for that batter, the ball went over the stumps, right? And Shamar Joseph has skills that he is a bowler that attacks the stumps all the time. He doesn't spray the ball around the place. That is an important skill for any format of cricket. So I do not see them picking Shamar Joseph as a gamble. Shamar Joseph possesses all the requisite skills. It's just he does not have the same level of experience. And if you go throughout cricket history, regardless, the one position you can always feel comfortable in selecting somebody onto a team with less experience is a fast bowler, more than any other position in the cricket field.
Dwight, you remember in Joseph, but I told them that he has the ability to win matches on his own. While Shimron Hetmyer's selection was the gut feeling of Desmond Haynes and Darren Sammy, Shamar Joseph is going to bowl in the power play and he's going to get many wickets in this World Cup. And he's going to be one of the reasons why West Indies is going to go very deep into the tournament. He is going to bowl that new ball and we are going to be a threat, a serious threat in the power play, Dwight.
But Carlton,
there are some comments.
Carlton, what you're saying here, you're not just saying that you agree that he should be on the squad. You're saying that you expect him to be in the starting lineup of all the teams that we'll be selecting. So let me ask you a different question then, Basil.
Yes.
And Carlton, what about the death bowling? You're telling me about the power play and you're expecting, what about the death bowling that nothing has been done about and that we see game after game is the trouble area in the team?
You know what's interesting on that point, Carlton? Maybe if Carlton, if Carlton could get just the clip of Sammy when he was at the press conference with the president and all of them, not this last one, because that discussion came, that was the same press conference when he talked about the hype. He's not picking Joseph on the hype, right? In that press conference, you would have heard Sammy say that the back end, if they could win in the power play and in the middle overs, they won't, regardless of he addressed it, we don't have the great dead bowlers, but we could weather that storm. So they're gambling, Chato, because our dead bowling is not a strength. So what they're saying, we're going to then go, our goal is to then get wickets and put pressure on the batting team. Because if a batting team goes into the last 15 and they don't take 6 or 7 wickets, they can't hurt you as bad as if they had 2 wickets down. So that is the approach.
Thank you very much, Basil. But sticking with you, Basil, because you're under pressure here. Sheldon Smith is saying that we all need to rewatch that video because I don't remember hearing you say competitive. The impression you gave us was that the girls would be defeated.
Yeah, well, we could go back and look at the video. I never predicted Pakistan was gonna win. I never predicted that. I expected Pakistan would have been this series. West Indies was not going to go into Pakistan and roll over Pakistan. That's what I thought. And whether I said they was going to win or not is immaterial. And I gave context to why I said that, because I said just like anybody else, I can be wrong. I'm not right. We're all human beings. But my position was simply because when I saw Pakistan play against New Zealand and beat New Zealand in New Zealand, and the way they played against New Zealand has a way more balanced team than West Indies, and yet they did that to New Zealand in New Zealand. I said West Indies against them in their conditions is going to be a tall order.
Vern Jacobs is having another swipe at me, so this morning I just have to take my beating. But what happened if Hetmyer win a few matches in the World Cup for us? You know, but I'll take my beating, Vern. Vern is saying when you pick someone on gut feeling versus statistics, it's because they can provide intangibles that have been proven to help the team in ways that numbers don't convey. Fair enough. Hetmyer has not shown that. Do you agree that he has not shown it, Dwight?
I don't think that he has shown it often enough. I think you said it very, very early. Hetmyer has played 57 matches. He has batted 48 times. When you look at his batting average and the runs that he has amassed over that time, there are very few games that Hetmyer has really, really impacted. Relatively few games. So I'm with the poster on this. I don't see a record of intangibles that Hetmyer is bringing to the table. I do not see that at all. I see the other thing. I see a player in the past who has been a disruptive player. I've seen a player who has had issues with his fitness. I've seen a player that has been brought into a team and has just not struck the right chords. And I worry as to whether or not we'll be able to fit him in the team, whether or not he'll be able to function in the role that he's been asked to play, and whether or not he'll be able to be effective in that. My gut feeling, my analysis of it, just standing right here, is that I'm going out and saying that no, I don't think that he'll be a success in that role. All right. And
Thank you, Dwight. Man, I want to show you. Go ahead, Basil. Go ahead.
No. I wasn't saying anything.
No.
Okay, Cheeseman, I want to show you something here, Cheeseman. You know, look at his strike rate in IPL 2023, 151.77. But after that, it comes down to 116 when you represent the West Indies.
Correct.
Not because his strike transfer that to the West Indies. This strike rate that he has in the IPL, when he comes to the international level, he doesn't produce it. Now, a lot of persons generally says that there are a lot of international stars in the IPL. I want to put it to you that most IPL teams only have somewhere maybe 1 or 2 international bowlers in them. Some of them only have 1. Most of the bowlers in the IPL team are generally Indians, first-class players, because only 4 foreigners can play on a team in the IPL. When you back up an international team, it's a different level. It's a different quality bowling attack. So, yes, he has this 184 strike rate in the IPL. But as you've seen last year, when he comes to the West Indies, that strike rate goes down to 116. Any comment that there?
Yeah, Sir Carlton, you're absolutely correct, because I checked the numbers. Whenever Hetmyer has played for the West Indies and he is batted in those positions from 5 to 7, that's where you would call the finisher area, a finisher batting position. His actual strike rate is lower than his career strike rate of 118. It drops down to 117. Then I want to give you this interesting stat, because a lot of the Hetmyer, I call it the Hetmyerites, the fanboys, they like to talk about his impact. Well, I went and looked at the games West Indies won when he played, right? His strike rate then even falls even more to 106. So where is his impact? To me, it's more imagined than the numbers say. I think a lot of people have been trying to conflate Hetmyer's performances in T20 cricket, international T20 cricket, with what he has done in the IPL and the CPL to a lesser extent, and not look at what he has done for the West Indies. We're talking international, and I always harp that to my Hetmyerite comrades, that when I'm speaking about Hetmyer, I'm speaking solely and only in the international context. Because for me, I don't care what Hetmyer do elsewhere. Only when he put on the maroon, that's when I care.
RDD saying fact is Hetmyer is no good. Desmond Haynes just like him. And Mr. E is saying that many Hetmyer fans are daydreaming. He has been out of form many years and has many personal issues that affect his game and haunts his performance. Would you like to react to those two comments there, Dwight?
Wow, some of those comments are pretty harsh.
Is it that Desmond is just like him and he's not good? And
As I
that
said,
his fans are daydreaming?
As I said, some of those comments are pretty harsh. I think Hetmyer is a good ODI player. I actually think that he's a good ODI player.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's very easy to see a player do well in one form of the game, and you think that players should be able to transition. And the suspicion, especially with what you might see in the IPL, is that the expectation is that they're expecting Hetmyer to make the transition, and chances are you think that it's just the environment, that if you have if you have the correct team environment around him, that he'll come good. Because Hetmyer has been a player that a lot of people in the Caribbean had higher expectations of.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have seen glimpses of innings that he has played that has given us the sense that this player is a player that should be farther along. But it has not materialized, and it has not materialized for a bunch of different reasons. So I don't just want to say Desi Haynes that he's no good, because he's a good white ball player. And I don't want to say that Desi Haynes is just saying that on the back of what he has seen in the IPL. Because I think Hetmyer has given glimpses of stuff that somebody can hold on to. But I do think Desi Haynes is a bit too infatuated with the little that he has seen of Hetmyer. Hetmyer has given him some glimpses, and I think he's holding on a bit to that little that he has seen. I want to go to a point that Carlton made, which I think is an excellent point. People sit, watch the IPL, see it as the Champions League of cricket, and they automatically assume that players who do well in the IPL, these players will tear up international cricket. And it's not like that. The level is just different.
Yes.
Yeah? Players will go and play well in the IPL, and you throw them in the international cauldron, and they cannot rise to that level. That's just how it is. All right? So all the stuff that people have shown about, Hetmyer did this and so. The real test is to see what he's doing when he's putting on the maroon cap and when he's playing for the West Indies.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I thank the person.
Larry Myers'
kind words. I want to add something that would bolster I think the argument that myself and Carlton is making in terms of Shamar Joseph, although it's not a match to match like, but it's in a similar context. Mark Wood, when you go back and look at Mark Wood played probably about 20 or just under 20 T20 games before he came back into the England team going towards the World Cup. Because Mark Wood, I went back and looked because the World Cup was in 2022. Mark Wood had last played a T20 game somewhere on tour in November 2021. He hadn't played at all throughout the English season. But England said, look, we're going to Australia. With this pace, we want a bowler that we're going to say, Mark Wood, running and just like what he did in the Ashes, running and bowl pace, right, in Australia. So they brought him back into the fold for a couple games. They had 2 games against Pakistan in late September 2022. Then they went over to, he got selected in the team. They went over to Australia. They played 2 games before the World Cup against Australia and then into the World Cup. So again, Shamar Joseph is in that same context, not experience-wise. West Indies are looking at Shamar Joseph, in my view, playing a similar role as Mark Wood, running in and bowling with pace and to take wickets in the power play. That is his primary role. What else he does outside of that is going to be icing on the cake. But that is his role is primarily as a wicket taker because of his skill set.
I want to make the point that Shimron Hetmyer's selection in this team is always going to bring about controversy. When you look at Kyle Mayer's performance since 2023 for West Indies, it is better than Shimron Hetmyer. Kyle Mayer's performance is better than Shai's performance. Why is he not in this team? It's because in the last few matches, he went through a bad patch. But the overall record suggests that Myers has been performing better than these 2. There are alternatives. The cupboard might be bare. But I just want to say again, Hetmyer's selection cannot be justified by the numbers. But the coach and the captain have a right, also the lead selector, to go with a man they believe can do it for them. Are they right or are they wrong? It is left to be seen how it plays out. Dwight, let me hear your final comment, please.
Well, we argue these things vigorously because we all are passionate and all would love to see the West Indies cricket team win, and we want the West Indies cricket team to have the best chance to win. There's value in discussions like these. We're not simply nitpicking. We're not simply criticizing the team that is put out there. We're having these conversations because we want to see the best team out there and we want to go back to winning ways. The team has been selected, however, and I think 90-something% of the team, whatever the percentage is are people who we all agree should be there. And we're expecting the team to go out and do well at the World Cup. And so we're 100% behind the team and we're looking forward to see the World Cup.
Thank you, Basil.
I would just say I will repeat in the same context as you. The selectors roll the dice on Hetmyer, right? They think that Hetmyer can get the job done. I will be fully supportive of Mr. Hetmyer, despite I'm not a fan. I say this without being on a bat. But once he puts on that West Indies shirt, I support him and back him 100%, and I expect him to perform, right? And that is all my concern about the issues myself and Chato raise and yourself. And that is a normal process that we raise these things with selectors and so on. And as you said, gut feeling. At the end of the day, the selectors make a choice, and it is for the players to vindicate those choices. We may not agree or disagree. We may agree or disagree with their rationale for the selection. But at the end of the day, it will come down to the player to vindicate their choices, and then we can also again after that have at the selectors, as I did when Desi chose Mr. Roach to go on the ODI tour. I was vehemently against it from then. I thought it was a very poor choice, and it turned out I was correct on that point. So, but again, I wish Mr. all the best when he put on that uniform, the maroon.
I want to say that although we heard that changes is possible to be made to the team, to the squad, up to the 25th of May, be comforted that barring injury, no changes will be made. These players are expected to represent us at the World Cup. Brandon King has a fitness test to pass in those 3 matches against Sri Lanka. Otherwise, these are the 15 that will be representing us at the World Cup. I thank Basil. I thank Dwight. I thank you, gentlemen, for being here. I thank all of you for watching. Please remember to share the video with your friends. And if you have not already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Please have a wonderful day. Take care of yourself and take care of your loved ones. Have a good day now.